Hey guys, it's Referent2 Gaming. Today we're going to be jumping into actor bobbing, making an actor move up and down on its Z-axis. This is a demo help video in response to a Unreal Engine Reddit thread. So, getting into it real quick, we're going to make an actor class, and we're going to name that actor class BB. Bobbing actor. Jump right in here, and I'm going to add a scene component. I like a nice clean scene component. I'm going to name it root. The reason why I do this is the root here is basically going to set the origin point for this actor class, and that's pretty much all it's going to do. And it also allows, when we're moving the mesh that we're going to be bobbing up and down, we're going to be moving it relative to the root component instead of doing world location movement. We're going to make it relative. So we're going to add that static mesh real quick, and I'm just going to call it mesh. Keep everything nice and simple. And the mesh that I'm going to use is a sphere. And we're going to use the editor sphere. I think everybody should have that. We're going to scale it down to 0.3 because it's pretty big. And I'm just going to give it a CLR red. I have some base colors set up. We're going to compile that. You can do whatever you got to do for your own collision, but there's nothing else that I have to do to this mesh other than set its position. So, because we have a scene component as origin, our origin point, we need to move the mesh up, and I'll show you the reason why for that real quick. Boom. See, the origin of the scene component is in the center of the sphere, basically. So what we need to do, let me actually snap that back down and select it again, hit N key. Alright, snap back down. So when we come in here and we move it up, see, it pops up. Move it back down, boom. It's positioned relative to the origin or the root scene's center. So we need to come in and we need to adjust this. And I want that dead on, and I think it's going to be 49 here. Alright, let's do 48. 48 is perfect. Alright, we're going to compile that, pull back off of it. So we're going to create a vector. We're going to do bottom location, and that's going to be a vector. And bottom location, let me just add the other one, and top location. So these are our 2 points that we're going to be moving back and forth between. So bottom location is going to be the basic location of the actor. I mean, on Big Game Play we could set this, but I'll go ahead and just set it here. What did we say it was? 48. So Z is 48. Compile that, and we need to set the top location. And what I like to do is just move it up a little bit and say, let's see, what's that look like? That's a pretty decent bob. We can go a little bit higher. Alright, that's a pretty good height. So that's 93. That value was 93. I think it was, yeah, 93. Looks decent. So we're going to go down to top location, and we're going to set its Z-axis to 93. Go back here and set this one back to its default 48. Compile. And that's pretty much all the variables and stuff that we need for this. So next thing we got to do is get in here and start some custom events. So custom event, we're going to do bob up. That helps if I spell correctly. Bob custom, and we're going to have that one bob down. Get this all nice and clean. I'm pretty OCD about keeping things clean. So begin play is going to start the bob up, because the base where it stands, where the actor is standing, is going to be here, so we need to move it up. Its first action is move up. So that's all we need to do on begin play. Next, we do a timeline. We're going to add a timeline. We're going to name this bobbing actor, and we're going to play, and then the other one is going to be reverse, because we're moving it back and forth between two locations. So we're going to take our bottom location and then top location and get these up here. We're also going to need our mesh, so drag out and control release for the mesh, and then we just jump in here and set up our timeline. Alright, we need to add a track. We're going to do a float. We're going to name this track alpha, because that's what it's going to be kicking us out, alpha. We're going to set a curve point. Let's right click. Then we're going to set its time to 0 and its value is 0. We're going to right click again, add another key, and this one's going to be time is 1 and value is 1, and we're going to set our length to 1. Hit enter, set our length, and we're going to hit these two to get the whole thing in view. This one is selected. We're going to control left click on the other one, so they're both selected. Now I can right click and hit auto, and that'll give us a nice little curve to it. Compile it, verify everything. Our length is 1. We have our alpha 0 and 0 on key 1, 0, and key 1 is 1 and 1. Alright, everything's perfect there. We go back out to our graph. So on update, what we need to do is set relative, I gotta spell it correct, set relative location, and that's off the mesh. Pull it off the mesh, and that's going to be our update. And pull these guys down a little bit. We're going to reroute node here, reroute node there, pull this over. And off the bottom location, we're going to Lerp vector. Add this one in, and then add this one in. Get these guys cleaned up. Straighten. All nice and tight. Straighten. And then straighten. And over there. I like clean code. Makes it easy to read, not a whole bunch of craziness going off of that. Now, off the finish, we're going to add a reroute, and then off of that, we're going to do a branch, because we need to tell this timeline when it finishes what it's got to do next. So off the alpha, we're going to do equals, and then that to there. So if the alpha equals 0, we're going to move up. If the alpha equals 1, we're going to move down. So we don't have to set any other gatekeeping variables here. We're just checking the alpha. I'm going to explain it real quick. So at the start of the timeline, its value is 0. At the end of the timeline, its value is 1. So if it's 1, it's at the top. It's moved up to the top location. If it's 0, it's moved to the bottom location. So that's how we control the up and down aspect of it. So on begin play, we're going to call bob up. Bob up is going to run. It's going to take it from the bottom location to the top location over a 1 second period. When it finishes, we're going to check the value. If it's equal to 0, we're going to bob up. If it's equal to 1, we're going to bob down. So after the first loop, when it hits the top, this is going to be 1, and it's going to call the bop down, and bop down is going to reverse the timeline. It's going to run it in the opposite direction. So it's going to take top, bottom. So pretty straightforward stuff. So let's see this in action. Back off of it a little bit and play. And there we go. Pretty straightforward stuff, guys. So go back to the code, get this all squared up so everybody can see what's going on here. And that's it. That is absolutely it. 2 variables, bottom location, top location, and just setting up your mesh correctly in the viewport. Hope that was helpful.